All right. So today, actually this week, I was walking around and I was like, what film should I talk about? What film should I talk about? I was really kind of contradicted because there are so many good films, but you have to feel that you have something to talk about in this film. So it's like not every film can be analyzed the way I analyze films in sense of like concept. So this week I've picked Aladdin, which is like Guy Ritchie's Aladdin, not the original one. However, they're really, really close to each other, so I feel like the original one could also suffice. But I personally love Guy Ritchie's take on Aladdin and how he's done it. It's really subtle, entertaining, and just, there is one moment that I want to talk about at the end. I don't know if that was like intentionally done, but we're gonna talk about it later. So Aladdin, like it was so many times, so many people talked about it, and I don't feel like, especially when I was a kid, like that's all we were watching, and I don't feel like we were completely aware of the meaning of the film because we were mostly sort of like, oh, that's so fun, three wishes, I could have all I want, mom, dad, what do you want? Like it was so fun, but um, now I feel like there is a deeper meaning behind it, and it was sort of just fun. Um, but anyway, let's dive right in. So at the beginning of the film, Aladdin enters the Cave of Wonders, where he cannot touch anything but the lamp, and it's sort of like a subtle play at you have to be first of all worthy of entering the cave, because remember at the very beginning there are a couple of failed attempts. So Jafar has found the wrong person and he was just like fell down to the cave and died there or whatever. So you have to be worthy, you have to be really diamond in the rough, but also it's a test. It's a really, it's not a hard test. It's just like, just to check if you're the right person. So you cannot touch anything. You cannot touch any riches, anything. Like obviously, you're supposed to be poor. You're supposed to be craving for money, and that's what you lack. So that's why you're sort of like you're walking among all these riches, and that's exactly what you need in life, and or at least you think that's what you need. So you're walking in this, cave of wonders, and you're like, oh my God, can I just live there? Can I just take all of it? So that's the test. You have to pass it. You have to resist the temptation, which makes you worthy. Which means you can lay aside or set aside your temporarily cravings. So if I was, for example, at the moment, I personally don't eat sugar. And if someone like my friend walks in and she's like, hey, are you like, do you want a chocolate? Or she's eating a chocolate, like whatever. And I would be like, that's the temptation right there. Like if I cannot sustain my own kind of, life without being triggered by these, by sugar or whatever, like sweets, I have not passed the test. I cannot, like, I'm literally still triggered by it. So that's pretty much the same. Like, you have to be able to say no to these triggers, to these temptations. Aladdin himself, manages, thankfully, walk by them. Um, and it's kind of interesting because you're still not gonna find the what you're looking for in this cave, and I feel like that's sort of like the grand design of the whole film, is that however much you think you're gonna find there, it's still not gonna be sustainable. I'm gonna talk about it later, obviously, but the whole trick is kind of fake. So even though you want to try these three wishes, you have to be worthy of trying this stuff, and you're still not gonna find what you're looking for there. Just like Aladdin didn't find what he was looking for. Remember at the very end of the film, he's like, Jafar, I didn't find what I was looking for in this lamp. You're not gonna find it either. So that's kind of the lesson of the lamp. But still, if you wanna test your limits, if you wanna go down this route and learn this lesson, you're welcome to, as long as you're worthy and you can walk past these temptations. So anyway, he gets there, He gets 3 wishes. Why 3? They never give explanations. I personally believe that's sort of like to not get addicted. 3 is enough to try it out, to make mistakes, to figure out what you really want after a couple of attempts. But if you were to get more than 3, for example, an infinite number or 100 or 1,000, it would have been too many wishes for you to go through. So it's sort of like it would become like an infinite bank where you would go and instantly get whatever you want. So it's not, again, the purpose of the whole Cave of Wonders and the whole story and Aladdin and all that, not Aladdin, but like Jinn, is to teach you a lesson, not to get you addicted on it. It's sort of like if I know that my friend, I don't know, but like, why am I talking about my friends today? But if my friend constantly lends me some money, I'm constantly gonna keep going there in order to take this money. Like, it's constantly gonna be a resource for me if I know that it's there. So that's kind of how it, 3 wishes to not get addicted, just like, know your norms, know when to stop. Yeah, so I love this quote, like, when he first rubs a lamp and Genie says, most people wish for tons of money and power. Do me a favor, do not drink from that cup. I promise you, there is not enough money and power on earth for you to be satisfied. I mean, it's self-explanatory, but it's so good. It's just, they've explained it all. It's so brilliant. I love it so much. And even like later on, they even played it off. Like, they used this phrase when he was like, "Oh, so you still want to drink from that cup? Like, you still want to go there? All right, boy." So that's interesting. Like, I love how they've twisted it. And obviously, so the first thing where Aladdin's head goes is to become a prince in order to win over the lady. He becomes Prince Ali. But later on, as he goes on this journey and he gets introduced to Princess and he tries to buy her with all the gems and jewelry and all that, he obviously cannot do that. Then he gets the second introduction when he dances like all this breakdance, whatever, and nothing changes. Like, he cannot win her over because because she wanted some personal connection, but that's not the thing. The point is, nothing was changed on the inside. And once again, Will Smith's character almost says it out loud, like straight to Aladdin. He says, I made you look like a prince, but I didn't change anything on the inside. You have to Ali came to the door, but Aladdin has to open it. Which is, again, it's just like a direction, like just like literally they're telling us how you're supposed to be thinking and functioning. So once again, you get 3 wishes. The wishes change you from outside, not from the inside. Which is why, and this is the main idea of the film, right? They're kind of opening up throughout the film, but in any case, which is why that's the lesson, that everything you would get from the lamp, from Jinn, comes from outside. It doesn't come from you. Now, what does it mean on the esoteric level? It means that you didn't bring it to yourself. Someone else gave it to you. So why do you have what you have in your life? Why do you have the amount of money you have in your bank account? Why do you have the amount of friends? Why do you have the boyfriend or girlfriend or don't? Why do you have husband or wife or don't? Why do you have these things or not is determined by the way you live your life, by what you believe in, and by your what's the word? Well, your belief system, basically, right? Like the truth that you describe as correct. What's the word? There's a anyway. What's the? it's gonna come back to me anyway. So what you believe in, right? So if you believe in something, that it's gonna come to you. If you believe that you can earn $1 million a month, it's gonna come to you. If you don't, you don't. But I don't, I don't like the word belief, because there is a word lie in the word belief. So it sort of like hints you at something, like something is off. Don't believe, no. But again, you can know something. I know I'm an awesome person. Does it mean it's true? Like, it's still debatable. Anyway, we've kind of pivoted a little bit here, but what I want to say is, when something comes from inside, from you, it's gonna stay with you, right? So that's why when the people win the lottery, they almost never sustain this money in the long term. They almost always lose everything they won. They just waste it. They get drunk. They just lose it on all the desirable things that they believe that they need, or believe that it's gonna somehow help them. There are even documentaries about it, like how people win lotteries and lose it, waste it all. By the way, I believe I've read about Jackie Chan, and he says that he said he's not gonna leave his kids anything at all, because if they were able to earn this money, to get to this amount of wealth, they would have done it by themselves. So there is no point of him to be leaving such riches for them. I kind of admire that, but it's like, that's your kids. It's really, can you imagine the amount of like the bravery, and just like how daring are you supposed to be? Like, that's the people closest to you, and you are still teaching them the lesson of, it's just a resource, right? Money, and it represents our inner state, like I've mentioned before. So once again, that's, to be honest, that's how it works, and that's why we waste the money. And by the way, just yesterday I was watching some reels, and it said, so the girl was analyzing how people, for example, you're earning, I don't know, 5K a month, and you really want to earn 6K. Once you get to this limit, 6K, and you start earning more money, basically, you immediately, you don't feel that. You begin spending more money, and so at the end of the month, you're still there. You're still kind of, maybe not in need of the money, but you kind of run check to check. You're just there. You're still at the bottom. You still kind of, everything you make, you lose, or just spend away. So that's another kind of red flag for you, that you cannot sustain the money. It's not you're just waiting it away. You're not, like, you're always at this scarcity mindset, which is guilty as charged. We all do that. And you have to be able to keep the money. The money should stay there. That's the indicator that you're actually expanding, rather than getting to the certain limit, certain wall, like 5K, 10K. It doesn't matter if it's $1 million a month. You're still going to be needing the money. You're still going to be aiming for more. You're still going to be looking up this ladder. So once again, circling back to the 3 wishes, it has to come from the inside. It has to come from you, which is why it's like, remember the beginning I've said, if you're worthy and you want to go and try out, and you're like, okay, I just need this money to launch my business, to get there and do that. Okay, fine. If you're worthy of that, the lamp is going to grant you the money. It's going to grant you the business, the place to rent, whatever, the person you crave. But eventually you're gonna face the reality of it. So that's why Prince Ali couldn't impress the princess, and that's why he was like, why I have everything I was supposed to have. I have everything everybody tells me I should have in order to impress the princess, and it doesn't work. So he couldn't figure it out. Cut to end of the film. There is the moment when what's his name, Jafar, gets the lamp. He gets his 2 wishes. He becomes a sultan. He becomes the most powerful wizard in the in like just the most powerful, I guess, not in the universe, but just like simply the most powerful. So and after that, he's like, I want, and like the third wish, like the very last one, he's like, I want to become the most powerful being in the universe. And like, I was like, LOL. That's just so much fun. Like, how much ego can actually dictate our way of life. And there is, oh, by the way, there is a beautiful book. It's called Café at the End of the World, at the Age of the World. Yeah, I cannot. I'm sorry. I will write it down in the comments. But yeah, it's a brilliant book. And there is a quote that some people spend the money in order to be a part of the group that they don't want to be a part of. For example, you could be paying insane amount of money to have a car, right? To have to pay for to sustain the car, oil, gas, like all, like you have to pay taxes for the car. Like there are so many wastes on that. And let's imagine you're living really close to your job, and so there is no need for you to own a car. You can actually use public transport if you need that, or you can run, or you can, I don't know, like whatever works best for you. But like technically you don't need the car to get someplace, but you still want to own it because that's your, it feels like a privilege. It feels like you're part of another group, a group of people who owns a car, who doesn't use public transport because it's like, that's for, you know, for poor people. I am a posh guy, I don't want to go there. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's, you don't actually need it. Be honest with yourself, admit it. Like, this ego, it plays tricks on us. It tells us that we need something even though we don't, or sometimes we want to be a part of the group that we don't really want to be a part of, but we still want to kind of sustain it. Yeah, anyway, ego is a funny thing. There is a lot to talk about ego, but maybe some other time. And so the very last scene, it's probably the most beautiful scene of all. Like, in the whole film, it's so clever, so beautifully tackled. So that's the scene that I was telling you about, that I don't know whether it's intentional or it's just accidental, and you know, scriptwriters didn't think it through. I personally think that they did, because it's way too beautiful to be such an accident. So Genie offers Aladdin to make the law must marry prince disappear. So, you know, Jafar's situation is resolved. We're right at the very end, and Genie is like, you know, I can make the law disappear. You still have one wish. You know, I can help you do that. Thankfully, Aladdin declines, and then Jasmine becomes, he lets him free. Jasmine becomes sultan because her father sees her as an independent, strong woman, and she herself changes the law that she doesn't have to marry a prince. She could marry whomever she wants. And it's so beautiful. Like, it just blows my mind every time I watch it. Like, once I figured it out, like, I was like, why is that? And it just connected. The dots just, like, it clinks. If it's meant to be for you, it will happen without external help or magic. Which is like, boom, mic drop. It's so beautiful. Like, he could have wished to change the law, right? He could have been like, no, okay, let's change the law. Now she could marry whomever she wants, and be sitting like, well, who are you gonna marry? Like, I wonder. Like, he didn't do it. He knew that if it's supposed to happen, that's what people mean by this phrase. If it's supposed to happen, it will happen. It means that I'm no longer operating from the scarcity mindset. I know that what's mine vibrates on the same frequency as I do, and we're gonna connect just because we exist. We don't have to go out and search. We don't have to go crazy. That's why people say what you're looking for looks for you. It's like, because that's just magnetism. It just connects. Your people are gonna find you. Like, look around. The people you have around you, they are the people that kind of think in the same way. So it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. It just like, if it's yours, you don't need the three wishes. You don't need the magic lamp. It's just gonna happen. Oh my gosh. I feel like that's, again, you know, when you become a scriptwriter, you're thinking, how could you put these beautiful, beautiful ideas into films? How could you write that? How could you become the scriptwriter that changes people's lives? And I feel like what scriptwriters for this film have done is just insanely beautiful and so transformative. And it's like, it's really subtle as well, because you cannot, it cannot be too on the nose. It would be too like, well, still, I mean, in the film, they've a couple of times they've literally told us straightforwardly just like what it means and what you should do. But still, it's just, this last moment is just incredible. So by the way, what's also funny is how, like, we were watching the film through the POV of Aladdin, but if the roles were reversed and we were to have this story told from the POV of Jasmine, I bet you she would have wished to become Sultan. And I bet that would have been the first thing that she asked for, right? Because she was like, even before she met Aladdin, she was like, Dad, I can do that. Like, I don't have to get married. I can, you know, I can lead the kingdom. I can be by myself, you know, all that. And it's so interesting, you know, how, by the way, there is a type of structure when the story is being told from different POVs, but normally it's the same story. So it's called Rashomon structure. And it's basically, for example, the story of two people are shaking hands, for example, you know, just a handshake. And at first, the story is being told from my perspective, person number one, how I came into the room, how I greeted everyone, how I shook a hand, and then the same situation from the POV of the second person. So if we were to change that, obviously, well, Jasmine's POV, that's not exactly, you know, correct, because she didn't have technically a lamp. She didn't have an opportunity to make a wish. But let's imagine if she were to have a lamp, I'm pretty sure she would have wished to become a sultan, like in her own timeline. And still, you know what's even more beautiful? And even though she didn't have the lamp, she didn't have a chance to make a wish, she became a sultan, which means it's like, that's her timeline. That's her, she was supposed to have that. Maybe not at the beginning of the film. Like, you have to act. You have to make changes. You have to do something. You cannot just sit at home and be like, no, what's mine is gonna find me. I'm just gonna be there. Like, it doesn't work this way. Sometimes it does, but not all of the time. So yeah, you know, it's so beautiful if you think about it. Not only Aladdin gotten what he wanted when he was himself without the help of the lamp, but also Jasmine. It's just, I that's why I love this version, and it's just like, it's incredibly beautiful. So yeah, that's pretty much all. The last scene obviously takes a lot of attention and a lot of, you know, it's most of the time when we are writing films, we're bringing just one lesson to it, and we're just like, we're setting up 2 hours of the film in order to make one moment work. That's most of the time how it works, because one film is normally one conflict or one central question or one problem or like whatever. It's just one. Like, it could be more, but then it would have to be a TV series. If it's a feature film, that's normally just, you know, one thing. And yeah, so like the whole film was set up to teach us a lesson of whatever you want should come from you. It would never, whatever you wish externally, if it comes to you externally, it would never be sustainable. You would lose it anyway. Or if it does come to you externally from an outside, so a person, for example, comes to you, and like one of my friends were like, My grandparents left me some money, you know, just like inheritance. Then, if that's the case, you normally, and the universe brings it to you, you'd be like, you'd be using it wisely, and it would literally be needed for you. It doesn't mean like, you know, you don't have to receive anything from the outside. No, it's like that's how it works. You know, there is always a give and take. So, but the point is that if it comes like through breaking the wall, like if you feel like you're breaking this veil of life, if you're overdoing it, if you're literally keep banging on the door that's closed, it's not your door. Leave the door alone, turn around, find your door. Like it's, you know, but yeah, it's like if it's meant for you, it's gonna come to you. You know what I mean? It's like if Jasmine and Aladdin would be like, no, 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 I cannot accept that. I will not be a sultan. Thank you, father. I like it. It has to come from myself. It's, you know, it's like it's also crazy. Like it will come to you, but it will come naturally. Just a person would come and say, hey, I want to invest in business. Do you have an idea? A person comes into your life and invites you out, or blah blah blah. It's always gonna come to in a natural flow of ways. You wouldn't have to fight for it, to overwork yourself, exhaust yourself. That's not the way we were supposed to be living. That's why I don't believe in this kind of American dream that we're all kind of being sold, that you have to grind and you have to work days and nights, and maybe if you're lucky you have to break through. That's not how it works. It never That's never how it works. So I feel like the whole story, like it's so, I mean, it's an insane life lesson. So let me know what you think. I hope it makes sense. I'm gonna write the name of the book that I've forgotten. Maybe I've gotten it right, but I'm still gonna double check. And yeah, I'll see you sometime in the future.